This video covers the conjugation of the regular Dutch verb in the perfect tense. Please make sure you are familiar with our video about the Dutch verb in the present tense before you watch this one. In this video, we will concentrate on the formation of the past participle. After watching this video, you will be able to form the past participle of the regular Dutch verb. But let's start with two basic questions. What is a past participle and what is the perfect tense? Let's look at two examples of sentences in the perfect tense. She has worked at this all day. Wow! You have grown 10 centimetres in 2 months. In English, as in Dutch, the perfect tense consists of two elements. A conjugated form of the verb have, we call this the auxiliary. So in these examples, she has and you have. And a main verb in the form of a past participle. Here, it's worked and grown. Let's look at these two sentences in Dutch. Ze heeft hier de hele dag aan gewerkt. Je bent in 2 maanden 10 centimeter gegroeid. There are two things we need to look at here. First, the auxiliary, or the first part of the perfect tense. Note that in English, you always use a conjugated form of the auxiliary have. In Dutch, most verbs also take the form of hebben in the perfect tense, but a considerable number of verbs take zijn as their auxiliary in the perfect tense. It's time for a rule-ish. Always use hebben in the perfect tense in Dutch, unless the main verb expresses motion. For example, rijden, vliegen, rennen. In this case, we use the verb zijn. Verbs that indicate a change of being also use zijn in the perfect tense. This is a rather vague category, but it includes verbs such as beginnen, barsten, and groeien. Secondly, the position of the verbs. Note that in English, the auxiliary and the main verb stick together. She has worked, you have grown. In Dutch, the auxiliary and the main verb have fixed positions in the sentence. The auxiliary verb will be in second position and the past participle takes final position. Second and final are the classic positions for the Dutch verb. Check our video on word order if you want to know more. We're now ready to start predicting our past participle. There are two tools you'll need to form the past participle of the regular verb in Dutch. The first is the formula for the past participle. Ge plus the stem of the verb plus t or d. The second tool are some magic words. Soft ketchup. Let's see how we use these tools. Let's take the verb werken. The formula tells us we need ge plus the stem of the verb plus a t or a d. So let's start with ge. Let's then add the stem of the verb, werk. And now we have a decision to make. To t or to d, that is the question. To decide whether we go for a t or a d, we turn to our second tool, soft ketchup. In these two words, we find all the consonants or sounds that lead us to a T as the final letter of a past participle. S, F, T, K, CH, and P. Let's take werken. Look at the last letter of the stem and test it against soft ketchup. In this case, it's a K, so yes, K is in soft ketchup. So our final letter is a T. So the past participle of werken is gewerkt. Let's try another one. Studeren. So we need ge plus the stem of the verb plus a T or a D. Ge plus studeer. The last letter of the stem is R, which isn't in soft ketchup. So the final letter is a D. Gestudeerd. Note the normal spelling rules still apply. So let's take praten. ge plus praat. T is in soft ketchup, so that would give us a T as the final letter. Gepraat. Ouch! There's never a double consonant at the end of a word in Dutch, so let's stick with gepraat. Two more things to note. Let's take two verbs of the VF or ZS category.
Leven, verhuizen.
We know that the stem of the verb leven is leef, and the stem of the verb verhuizen is verhuis, because a Dutch word cannot end in a V or a Z. But what does that do to our soft ketchup? Well, here goes with leven. Ge plus the stem of the verb plus T or D. Ge plus leef. So which is our test letter? The V of the full verb or the last letter of the stem? Here's the rule. In case of a VFZS verb, the final letter of the past participle is a D. Geleefd. Let's try verhuizen. In addition to the ZS, there is another feature of verhuizen. It starts with a so-called unstressed prefix. Ver. Verhuizen. There are quite a few of those unstressed prefixes in Dutch. For example, geloven, ontdekken, bewegen. Here comes a rule. If a verb starts with an unstressed prefix, just don't add ge in the past participle. Ge is also an unstressed prefix, and you just don't use two unstressed prefixes in a row. So the solution is just not to add the ge. Verhuizen, verhuisd. Let's recap. You'll have to remember soft ketchup as your T or D indicator. And then there's your formula. Ge, but don't add it if the verb has an unstressed prefix. The stem of the verb, and T or D based on the last letter of the stem. And in the case of ZS and VF verbs, it's always a D. Something worth remembering. A D or a T at the end of a Dutch word is pronounced exactly the same. Hart sounds the same as hart. Vind and vind sound exactly the same. So when you're speaking, you don't need to worry about soft ketchup. Zo, ik heb mijn les geleerd.